The Red Devils are by far the most successful team in Egypt and Africa. 39 Egyptian Premier League titles, 36 cups, 8 times CAF Champions League titles, and many more. Until recently, Al Ahly was also the top club in the world in terms of the total number of titles won in its regions. It's now second to Real Madrid.
The first and last secret behind Al Ahly is the system it has established in running the club. It's like a corporation where everyone is following a successful managerial protocol. That's why despite the succession of different generations, the result is the same, creating a winner. Since the club was founded in 1909 up until now, if you look at other clubs who've won some titles, you won't find players who play with full power until the 90th minute. That's the spirit of the red t-shirt. This last-minute goal was the reason for many Al Ahly's titles and qualifications.
But of course, that comes at a huge price. Al Ahly's management is known to take the best decision for the team, then it thinks later about finances. Whenever two clubs rush to sign with one player, the Red Devils almost always manage to seal the deal, even if it means more money.
Regardless of the names, the club's management has always done the impossible to allocate the budget for the club to succeed. Azaro, Ajaya and Ali Malul are big names and examples of many deals the club signs. Another factor in the club's success is Hossam El Badri. On paper, he's among the best Egyptian coaches the team has had. This year, he won the league and the cup. He took the club back to the Champions League semi-finals. He is doing a fine job.
Let's not forget the fans. The club has the biggest fan base in Egypt and the region. And they're the kind of fans who know how to give their team a push whenever needed. During the CAF Champions League quarter-finals, Al Ahly was facing the Tunisian team Expounds de Tunis. A mistake from their goalkeeper Sharif Al-Ekrami has trapped the Red Devils in a 2-2 home tie. But during the next training, thousands of fans went to cheer for the team, starting with Sharif Al-Ekrami and the rest of the players. Al Ahly has made it to the semi-finals, and hopes are they could make history once again by winning their 9th African title. Adel EL Mahrouky, CGTN, Cairo.
Let's get you some more on the CAF Champions League semi-finals and especially that match. Joining me now is General Manager of sports website kingfoot.com, Marwan Said. Marwan, all teams in the semi-finals are once again from North Africa. Is this an expected result?
I think when we see the amount of North African clubs that were present in the competition, we realize that they had the most odds to make it this far in the competition. If we look at the group stages, for example, there were almost 9 teams from 16, so it's not far-fetched that the teams that reached the semi-finals are all from North Africa. I think if we compare the players in other teams in Africa compared to the teams in North Africa, we see that only maybe Mamelodi Sundowns have that quality of players that can match the top players in North Africa. But it was a shock, really, that the holders exit the competition and without even reaching the semi-final. But we could have had even 10 teams in the semi-finals, in the group stages, if it wasn't for 2 North African teams playing against each other, where Fus Rabat were present. So I think it's not far-fetched that we reached this stage with the amount of North African clubs in the competition.
And Marwan, it almost seems like a question we keep coming back to about North Africa and the football there. What is it that the teams are doing right? They don't seem to struggle when it comes to financial or even fan base.
Look, if we're going to talk about what they're doing right, I think they have a different mentality to, let's say, West or South or East African countries. For example, if we look at the results, they are very, very similar. Most North African clubs, they know that the clubs from the west, when they come to the north, it's hard for them to get a result. If we look at the matches, for example, Esperance de Tunis, we'll see that they won 3 matches and drew 3 matches. They go away to draw, then they win at home, except where against Mamelodi Sundowns, where they drew at home, then won away. If we look at Rivers United, for example, of Nigeria, they had the same issue in Sudan, even though they had won the first leg. Al Ahly, they went to draw against Bidvest, then they won 1-0 in Egypt. So I think the way that North African clubs, they think about the competition is much different. Other than that, of course, financials come into the equation, as players in North Africa are paid, I think, double, triple, or even 4 times what they're paid in the club. If we are talking about the big clubs in the Champions League, so that's motivational as well. If we look at the club like Al Ahly, they had a very tough game in Cairo. The next few sessions, they were training alone than the one before they traveled. Thousands of fans attended. So I think a lot of factors come in when we are talking about the North African countries, whether fans, whether the way they think about the competition, whether the quality, whether the financial motivation.
And Marwan, speaking specifically about Al Ahly of Egypt, they're back in the tournament's later stages after many misses out. What are the expectations from the fans there?
Obviously, Al Ahly are invincibles in Egypt this season, meaning they didn't lose any match in the league. They come off a pretty strong season. They swept off almost all teams in the league. They conceded around 9 goals only the whole season. The fans see this as a perfect opportunity to win the competition. But the problem is, again, the Egyptian clubs almost always have issues when playing against North African clubs, or even when the Egyptian national team is playing against a North African country. But there's no doubt that Al Ahly this season are a much different animal than from the team from the seasons before, until 2013. They are very determined. They managed to win in Tunisia, which is very hard to do, and this will give them a very motivational push to go all the way. Their next match will be tough, but they've already gotten the result once in Tunisia, and the players, the fans themselves, they all believe that they can do it.
All right, Marwan, thank you very much for that. That's all the time we have for that right now. Marwan Saeed, General Manager of kingfoot.com, joining us as we talk about the CAF Champions League semi-finals. 1 match down, 3 to go until the final.